So on the topic of pepper, which is a spice from, I think the region around India, I think, I'm not entirely sure. But it's an interesting thing because it's a spice which white people like to use, but it's not actually the good stuff. It's kind of a castaway thing. Not exactly, but it's not like the premium stuff that white people think it is. It's not the good stuff. It's something taken from a culture that white people didn't bother to understand. It was just something that they could get, so they got it. And they brought it back to their caves and they started using it because it made their food taste better. Um, but there's so much more to the culture where that spice came from, and white people miss it. They don't see it. They don't see the sophistication in the cuisines of that region of the world, and it's it's funny. We do that with every culture. We we take Mexican food and we turn it into Taco Bell. We take Chinese food and we turn it into Panda Express. We take Italian food and we turn it into spaghetti with meatballs or whatever, or Chef Boyardee in a can. We cheapen every cuisine from every other culture. And then we get surprised when those cultures don't want us there. We get surprised when those cultures who we don't understand tell us that we're jerks. And it's because we are. We just take things. We don't help. Um, you know, Pepper was also a dog. And he was stolen. He was stolen by two selfish individuals who decided that through their selfishness, they would punish a son. They would punish a son for speaking against them. And Pepper was going to be going to a home where he would have free access to the out of doors. He would have access to a yard where he could run free, which is all Pepper ever wanted to do, was run free. He never ran away. He doesn't run away. He just wants to run freely. But these individuals, they want to keep him in their cave, and they'll only let him out when it's convenient for them. That's the inhumanity of those people. The fact that they feel as though this animal is a piece of property to be kept is emblematic of a thing in white culture. Treating things as though they're property, disrespecting animals. You know, when I go to a culture and I want to experience it, I eat the offcuts, because that's where the soul food is in the scraps and the trash. It's in the food of poverty, because people who are in poverty are the ones who have humanity. They are kept there by an oppressor who has lost their humanity. So the only way to understand another culture is to eat their soul food, is to understand their soul food. That's the only way to understand their culture, because their culture is oppressed by our culture, by white culture. When we see people who live in poverty and we see them committing crimes, we judge them. And we say that they need to stop doing crime, just lift yourself out of poverty. And we drive through these communities in our newly purchased electric vehicles. These electric vehicles that we don't actually need. Maybe we already have one or two other cars. We purchase these electric vehicles because we want to signal how virtuous we are because we care about the environment, while simultaneously preventing people who live in poverty from access to the resources. Instead of purchasing that electric car, that money could have been invested in impoverished communities, thereby uplifting the impoverished. You know, say you buy an electric car for $25,000, $30,000 used. Well, that $30,000 could have gone into an impoverished community, and 5 or 6 families could have purchased a vehicle, and that vehicle may have gotten them to their job. That vehicle may have allowed them to drive their children to a school. That vehicle may have allowed them to keep a job where they would have been fired if the bus they had to ride broke down and they were late. This is how people who live in poverty are kept there. They are kept there by you, spending your money on yourself. They are kept there by you, who treat things and people and animals as if they're your property. They are kept impoverished by you, white people,